Hello. Today we're here with me, myself, and I, and you. I thought very long and hard the last few days, actually since Friday of last week, as to what I wanted to talk about today. And I realized that for a very long time, I have been pushing you, pressing you to show that you loved yourself. And in the process of loving yourself, you would lose weight. And I went through many different scenarios and never achieved, in my mind, what I wanted to as far as self-love is concerned. Self-love is something that needs to be understood as far as weight loss is concerned. And I hope that those of you who are out there stick with me as I try to share with you my latest personal insights into not only weight loss, but personal self-love. I want to start out by saying Dr. Chu tried to consistently impress upon me that there was no such thing as coincidence. All behavior, he would say to me, all behavior is determined. Everything is cause and effect. Everything is interconnected. And the universe operates in that kind of way. It's hard to articulate the fact that when I met him and I realized how much younger than I was and how far superior he was mentally from me, but that evolution has changed over the years. When I recognize it has nothing to do with age, it has to do with passion, with forthrightness, with honesty, with morality. It is clear to me, and became even clearer this week. For years, we have been doing weight loss at home. People were, with our assistance, putting on their own beads. We would give them the acupressure point. But there was anxiety, there was caution, there was uncertainty. And people would call to be certain they were doing it the right way. And we embarked on the process of creating the AcuPoint Finder. I did not know what an arduous process it is to actually get a patent on something. And what it meant was that we could actually reduce the concern and the anxiety that people had in putting on their beads and making them more confident. One thing led to the other, which led to the other, which led to the other. And by the way, sadly, we've had to send out a cease and desist, and we'll see where it's going. But another copycat has no training, saw us, and said, I'll make believe I have my own AcuPoint Finder, and people will come into my office, and I will not call it AcuWeight, but I'll use the same program, and I'll do my thing. Dr. Chu was with me. We've sent them a cease and desist letter, and sadly, we may have to go because it's now a federal offense if someone violates this. Now, I have been pushing you to recognize that the issue of weight is an issue of comfort, that food is incredibly powerful in providing that comfort, and that when the emotionality in our life causes any kind of pressure, much of our daily activities relate around food. We've gone over the fact that within the first few hours of life, food was used to comfort you. It's made a lasting impression on all of us. But I also know that I can be comforted, and so can you, in ways other than eating. Dr. Chu would always tell me that everything in the universe must make sense. In the 7 years that he was in my life, he drilled into me, there is no such thing as random behavior. Everything is interconnected. You being there today and listening to me, and I appreciate that, is not a coincidence. In the past 2 weeks, with people using the AcuPoint Finder, and me asking them when they started up to every few days speak with me for a few minutes on the phone just to talk. One of the things that I wanted to do when we first started AccuWeight was to have a weekly, bi-weekly, once a month meeting where all of us would get together and talk and share questions and share answers, and that we would grow together. It took me until very, very recently to realize that because I'm past 85, that I could no longer be Dr. Chuck. And that's why I told you several weeks ago that when I do these presentations now, I'm wearing the coat that says he's Dr. Schwartz. My job, as I see it, is to help lead you, not direct you. Look around. Everybody has a better answer. You do this, and they say to you, well, you could have done it this way. They're absolutely correct. What they don't tell you is doing it their way makes them feel better, not that it's a better way, not that it's a more efficient way. It could be. So our responsibility is to listen. I'll give you a simple example and try then to move back to where I want to focus tonight, and that is self-love. Periodically, I'll get someone who says to me, Dr. Schwartz, I don't want anyone to really know what I'm doing. And the reason is AccuWeight is such a strange program that I'm concerned that I'm going to get negative feedback, and I don't want to deal with it. I went back into my head and realized something very, very universal and simple. When you are asked a question, people, whatever their motivation, people want an answer. And if you do not give them an answer, they will come after you again and again until you give them an answer. And the question was, how do I do the program, Dr. Schwartz? People seeing me massage the beads, and what can I say? Now, I would never want you to be in a position to say something that would come back on you. And for me, it was really very simple. I said, let me ask you a question. Is your extra weight for you a personal headache? And the answer was, yes, it is. I said, terrific. Someone says to you, what is it that you're doing? And you will say to them, I've had this headache for a significant period of time. I haven't been able to make any progress with it. I've gone to this doctor, that's me, Dr. Schwartz, and he's using acupressure to help me get rid of my headache. Simple. Answer. Question. What's acupressure? I'm not sure. It's what the doctor does, but I can tell you it's working, and so I'm going to continue to use it. Question is answered. The people go away because they're satisfied with the answer, and you have not said anything inappropriate, and you didn't lie. You'll never have to apologize. Now, one of the things that I'm very clear about, because I've seen it so often over the 23 plus years that I have been doing this. The Acu weight loss program works, but it creates conflict. And the conflict is between satisfying this urge that you have to be comforted, because if you satisfy the urge, you impact negatively on the program. Also, it's abundantly clear. I had several situations today in talking with patients who had lost 3.5, 4.5 pounds, and the joy in their life, having lost that weight because of the fact that they had fulfilled their personal responsibility to themselves, was clear cut. It felt good to them. It felt wonderful. And they wanted more. And one of the best things for me was they said to me, Dr. Schwartz, it doesn't really bother you that I take time to talk with you. And I said, what makes you think that it would bother me? Well, you have a lot of patience, and you're taking all of the time that I need to talk with me. You're giving me answers. You're talking to me in a straightforward manner, and I feel so good. Isn't that what Dr. Chu said? Everything you throw out into the universe is going to connect with like. Like attracts like. Now, I have been saying to you that you demonstrate self-love by doing the program and dealing with conflict by sticking with the program, and that you will lose weight. But there is a conflict. I said to you a little earlier that all behavior is determined. When I was a full-time psychologist doing psychotherapy, I started to get patients who were addicts. And the one program that seemed to me to be the most effective was a program that you know. It's called Alcoholics Anonymous. And I realize now maybe that's one of the reasons AA was in my life. Because when people came to me, I learned that AccuWeight was not enough. People needed more. Just as in Alcoholics Anonymous, people needed more. And let's see what Alcoholics Anonymous gives them. Number one, they go to meetings together. So what does that mean? We're all in the same boat and we're not alone. Number two, every single one of us, big, small, short, tall, wealthy, not wealthy, employed, not employed, every single person in this room is just as problematic as me. Every single one of them is damaged just as I am damaged. So I'm not alone. I don't have to hide. I know who they are. They know who I am. Because we've all admitted it by being here. And they have a program. 90 meetings in 90 days. And it dawned upon me as we were doing AccuWeight Loss that it's in part repetition. Today I will not take a drink. Today I will not cheat. And I'm going to share with you, because when I share with you, it helps me feel better. And since you're not going to judge me, remember, you're the same as me. So you're going to talk to me, and hopefully from the heart. And when I'm successful, it'll make you feel good. And when you're successful, it's going to make me feel good. Hi, Maria. When people tune in and something, it comes up on my screen. And hi, Deb. And so, pardon me, it made me smile, so thank you. Now, we are meeting here together. And you're looking at me. I am the Sherpa guide. My job is not to tell you what to do. My job is to help you learn how to live in a manner that is more effective, more productive, better for you, because it feels better for you. And what I noticed is something that I had ignored. In real life, people who are passive and people who are aggressive are not as completely successful, whatever that means to you, as people who are proactive. Now, What does self-love mean in that regard? With regard to weight loss, we have a structure. And if you follow the structure, something that has been true for more than 23 years occurs. If you follow the structure, every 30 days, we used to say the month, every 30 days, you will lose in total health a minimum of 15 pounds. Straightforward, no hidden meanings. But what's missing? I have to follow the protocol the way it's designed. But it's problematic because there are pressures out here that impinge on me and tempt me not to follow the protocol. Stop for a minute and go to the few telephone calls I had today that I'm going to refer to. People who lost weight 3, 3.5, 4.5 pounds and felt absolutely terrific about themselves for having lost the weight. The two were interconnected. What did it mean? They chose to follow the protocol of weight loss and overrode the temptations to do otherwise. Barbara sitting at the dinner table and having tea, enjoying dinner with us, and my wife, myself, and my granddaughter are eating. My daughter has no problem doing that because she has learned how good it feels to take care of herself. Because in taking care of herself, she's able to be more loving. Because it's very simple. When I talk with you and you give me feedback and I realize that I've helped you, it makes me feel good. So I want to talk with you and I want to help you because when I speak with you and when I help you and you tell me it's helpful, it makes me feel good. And so it prompts me to want to do more because I like feeling good. I like feeling helpful. Now let's translate this into self-love. We've agreed over the years that eating brings you comfort and that the pressures of life can be addressed in some way or other by putting food in your mouth which comforts you. We've also agreed that it's a habit. The pressure is there, you use food for comfort. It's thoughtless. The pressure is there, you use food for comfort. The key word is comfort. When I, sometime today, hugged my granddaughter for bringing me something, I saw the look on her face. All I did was just give her a little hug. And I gave her a hug because she did something for me. It made me feel good. I wanted to share my feeling good in sharing it with her. And it fed on itself. Now, I said a few moments ago, there is aggressiveness, there is passivity, and there is proactivity. You are more likely to be a victim if you are passive, if you are aggressive, and you are more likely to be successful if you are proactive. I created the magic protocol because it's a personal demonstration. But you have to start off by acknowledging it to yourself. Different forms of psychotherapy have been around for all the years. There is no one who doesn't have a package of some sort. My mother didn't love me. My father didn't love me. We lived in poverty. We lived in a terrible neighborhood. I can go on and on and on. There used to be a program. There are 8 million stories, talking about New York, there are 8 million stories in the naked city. Now, if there are 8 million stories, how can you possibly do psychotherapy? Because there are 8 million stories. Everybody's got a different story. And the reason is simple. There are a limited number of themes. I didn't feel loved. Look at a simple one. There are 2 brothers, Cain and Abel. Cain is a shepherd, a hunter, and he's going to bring a present to God to say thank you, and brings not from the best of his flock. Abel, on the other hand, has not taken up with shepherding, etc., and instead is a farmer. And he brings from the best of his crop. The Old Testament says that the Lord accepts Abel's giving to him in fire, and Cain is hurt. He didn't feel loved. And that festered in him, and he killed his brother. Hurt, approval, disapproval. Now let's come back. When you lose because you've stuck to the protocol, when you lose weight because you stuck to the protocol, I can't believe you're going to call me up on the phone and say, Dr. Schwartz, I had a terrible week. I was really unhappy that I stuck to the protocol. I did what I have to. Instead, what you're going to say, it felt so good to be in control. And not only was I in control, which I liked, but I lost weight and I moved closer to my goal. It feels good. And then I discovered something else. When I now deal with you, I'm feeling so good because of the fact that I'm in control and I'm doing the things that make me feel good, that when it comes to dealing with you, I'm going to be more sensitive to how I deal with you. Because I don't want to walk away from dealing with you thinking, I didn't treat them nicely. Because that's going to reduce how good I feel about myself. Now, we're back to the magic protocol. What do you want? Now, I'm making an assumption, and you know the old cliche, when you assume you make of you and me. Well, I'm going to make an assumption. The assumption is when you lose weight, it makes you feel good. And when you lose weight knowing it makes you feel good, you work harder by doing what's in the protocol to look good and feel good, and you lose the weight. So it feeds on itself. Over here is our past history. We're not going to do psychotherapy. We're just going to learn from history. My habit is, and that's why I'm overweight, is I use food inappropriately, and because I use food inappropriately, I'm overweight. But I use food inappropriately because it comforts me. Don't go too deep. Food is used for comfort. I need comfort. I use food, and it feeds on itself. Now, proactive as opposed to aggressive or passive. First, be honest with yourself. Which do you want more? To lose the weight or to get the comfort of food right now? Which do you want more? Don't tell me you don't want the food. You wouldn't be thinking about it if you didn't want it. And when you're on the program, you're not hungry because you're living off your fat. So therefore, to want it is psychological or, in a very small measure, dehydration. So let's put the dehydration away. You want food to get comfort. And now we go a step further, and you're going to realize in most situations, it's not till after the fact. Oh, I did it again. Why did I do it? I do it all the time. Why don't I think? And now, not only have I gone off the program, but now I'm beating myself up again. I'm not good enough. I don't measure up. I do the same thing all the time. This is not the only area, but we're here for accurate weight loss, so let's focus. So the first thing I need to do is acknowledge to me what's in my mind. Now, on many different levels, I learned something. All of us have an evil inclination, whatever that means. We are inclined. Now, an inclination is not an action. I'm thinking of cheating. That doesn't mean I am cheating. I'm thinking about it. But humans have an incredible capacity to ignore. It's a thought. I don't like the thought. I find a way of pushing it away. So what I've said to you is, verbalize it. Say out loud, holy cow, I'm thinking of cheating. Woo! I am. I want it. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get into the good and bad. You want the cheat to comfort you. You have a right to want the cheat to comfort you. There's nothing bad about it unless we decide it's bad. Now, you said to me, I want to lose weight, and you said to me, I want to cheat. Both are true. Which do you want more? That's why you verbalize, to acknowledge what you're doing, because when you say it, you've taken it out of your head, you've brought it into the real world. It's real now for you. You said it. I'm thinking of cheating. Yeah, darn right, I'm thinking of cheating. Now it's real. Now, I've told you I added the Qigong breathing, which Dr. Chu taught us, for a very simple 2 reasons. Number 1, try doing the Qigong breathing and doing something else. It's impossible to do the Qigong breathing and do anything else. You can't do both. You either do the Qigong or you do something else. So number 1, the Qigong stops you. It centers you. It relaxes you. And you're acknowledging that you're in control, because you would not be doing the Qigong breathing unless you yourself, the essence of who you are, has said, do it. So if you are doing the Qigong breathing, you're admitting the truth. You have the control. And the reason you're doing it, because you have the control, and it reminds you you have the control. Now, once you've done the Qigong breathing, the 3rd step is simply there because it fulfills that part of having control. Because when you put the candies in your mouth and swish them around, the taste contaminates any attempt on your part to cheat, and you will spit it out. It worked again. It worked again. And now, repetition. The more times I do that, the more I demonstrate that I'm important to me, that I love me, that I'm taking care of me, that it works for me, that it makes me feel better. And I do it again because it confirms. And I do it again, it confirms. And I do it again, it confirms. And soon it's part of a pattern. I've redirected myself. I've made myself important to me. I've taken back control. I like me. I like to get approval from you. I like to get approval from them. And so I do the things that I do, and it's very selfish. I'm doing it for me. Well, wait a minute. If I am selfish, gee, it must mean I have a self. Good stuff. I like having a self. I like having a self that I like. And it feels good to maintain the feeling of self. And it carries over into the rest of my life. What am I asking you? I'm asking you to stop and be proactive. You can be more important in your own life. You can feel better about things. No magic. Nothing occurs overnight. One of the things that I've learned, I'll give you a simple example. I have always liked people talking to me and me talking to people. And in one of the first jobs that I had, and I was low man on the totem pole, I would stop by every day as walking into the building, acknowledging the door people, the custodians, and I would see them. Hi, how are you? How you doing? Because they were there and I see them every day and I just do that. One day, one of the custodians approached me and told me about something that was happening on my floor. I said, thank you. And it got me a promotion. Now, the only reason that person told me what I heard was because I acknowledged them every day, because it was good to talk to someone. I didn't have any hidden motives. And they appreciated the fact that I talked to them, asked them how their families were, just simple stuff. Having a self that you like is incredibly strong. So now, if you believe that like attracts like, that the universe is interconnected, that when you have control of yourself, it feels good. And when you feel good about having control of yourself, it spreads out into the rest of the world. And the more you do it, the more habitual it becomes. And the more habitual it comes, the more You do it because you're not thinking about it. It becomes part of who you are. And it leads to something else. You're going to lose the weight. You're going to finish the program. You're going to have moved on to the next step, which is, how do you feel about having reached your goal? I hope it's going to feel good because I like myself better the way I am now, having lost the weight. But wait a minute. Does that mean I have to? No, it does not. You don't have to anything. You now, once you've achieved the goal number one of reaching your weight, the goal weight, you now have to create a lifestyle, a you. And that's what we're working for. That's what we're working on. Self-love is a form of proactive behavior that says, I am so important that I'm going to do the things that make me feel good. And when I feel good, I want to continue feeling good. That doesn't mean I'm not going to take care of myself and protect myself. What it means is I'm going to be more sensitive to how I deal with you. Because if I don't deal with you in a manner that is more sensitive, I'm not going to like myself as well. So now I've got an extra reason of self-love. And you're going to see me being more sensitive to you. And not 100% of the time, you're going to start to see me differently because I'm treating you differently. And it grows. And it grows. And it grows. The second question I asked today was, how may I help you? And I have a serious problem. I never learned to type. I'm 20 fingers. I took typing class. I practiced. I don't have the dexterity. And we all have phones. And people don't want to answer their phones. And people don't want to call other people. And I have just an impossible task in trying to text. But you can email me. And I love to hear from you. And until we open offices again, I'm also going to be calling more people. It can be 2 words. Thank you for calling me, Dr. Schwartz. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you when I have to change my beads. Okay. The more we interact, the more successful we're going to be. The more successful we are, the better we're going to feel. The better we're going to feel, the more we're going to emanate. And what we emanate is going to attract similarity. Hi, Doc Gabby. And you know I have a special place in my heart for Doc Gabby. In 11 months, she lost 157 pounds. And I was part of that. You know how good that makes me feel? And maybe that's why I feel good about Doc Abby. By the way, she's kept it off. I see no questions came up on the screen, so I'm not going to have to answer any. I would like to feel that I've been some service today and that I've educated you. Love yourselves, take care of yourselves, and remember, when you behave in a manner that makes you feel good, it makes you feel good. Thanks for listening. See you soon.